Something better than... Something about sounds.
Sound.
What's that sound? That. What's that sound? What's that sound? It's opera. In my ears.
We're not playing opera.
My soul. What's that sound?
We're talking about... Do we have to talk about opera?
Yes, we have to talk about the opera company.
Okay. Welcome to Coffee Opera Chat.
No, they're not calling it that.
With Caroline and Larry. With Larry and Caroline. I think Larry and Caroline's
Caroline, no, it's alphabetical.
Larry and Caroline.
Caroline and Larry, it's alphabetical, therefore that's fair.
It's a bit predictable, that, though, isn't it? Alphabetical is predictable. I think we should go
think
with
the woman...
Larry and Caroline. It trips off the tongue.
No, the woman should always come first. We've had years of being second in the bill. It's now time for us to be first. Caroline and Larry, that's what's going to happen.
I don't want this to be a smutty podcast, Caroline.
Wow, how is that smutty? Smutty.
Talking about women coming first. I don't think that's... Let's move away from
Definitely
that.
not talk about that, yes. Although that should always be the case in all walks of life. We are launching our very own podcast.
I'm Larry DeSantos.
I'm Caroline
And
Davis.
I'm Larry DeSantos, lead presenter, Larry DeSantos.
Warehouse Opera, a small opera company.
Boutique.
With a big voice.
Dedicated to transforming the world's opera scene. Welcome to our inner sanctum. A brand new podcast for all you classical movers and shakers of the music world. Join us.
Wait, what are you doing?
I'm doing the intro.
You sound like you're on ketamine.
No. I'm doing a nice, melodious, calm, classy voice. We're competing with Classic FM, so we have to give them what they expect. It's beautiful. Welcome. That's what they want.
Nobody wants to hear that.
I have to do this voice, though. If I do it in my normal voice, it's just boring. If I do it in this radio voice...
You're going to keep that... You look like you're going to fall asleep.
Actually, that's not a bad... Well, not me to fall asleep, but, lots of people listen to podcasts to fall asleep. We could be a sleep aid.
We don't want people to fall asleep.
Why not? It doesn't matter. As long as people click... No, people click on it. It doesn't matter.
The algorithm has to... No. We need the positive loop feedback thing where
mean?
people listen for the full amount of time.
Well, they will because they're asleep. So it just carries on playing. That's the way that people get their whole of their podcast listened. Because you listen to the first 5 minutes, it sends you to sleep, and then the next 55 minutes, or however long these bloody things go on for, they just, doesn't matter. And then they wake up and they think, gosh, that was good, it sent me to sleep. Well, no, I'll listen to the next one. When's it blooming coming out? I could do that.
That is making me
if
feel
Classic
quite tired.
FM are listening and they need a new person who does the intros. Welcome to Classic.
So you're gonna abandon ship for Classic FM?
No, I'll do both.
Well, I do.
Full disclosure, I don't really listen to podcasts.
How do you know how to do one then?
Well, I don't.
Well, I don't listen to podcasts. I thought you listened to them all the time. You've always got your earphones in.
No, I'm talking to people, making connections, living in the life of the world.
So neither of us know what a podcast is.
Well, I know what a podcast is. I just don't really listen. I know that Gary Lineker is very successful.
What's it with you and Gary Lineker?
I'm just saying he's like the king of podcasts these days. He is something like the top 5 out of the top 5 podcasts. He's got 3 of them.
Really? What does he talk about?
No, he's not on all of them. He just owns the company.
He owns a podcast company.
He does The Rest Is Football. Then he has those other 2 that do The Rest Is Politics. And I thought we could call this The Rest Is Opera. Do you think he'd sue us for that? Just a quick thing about the equipment that we're using.
Right.
I have borrowed this off my friend Mike.
No,
Mike.
you didn't. No, you did not borrow.
Do you know what? I hadn't made that connection.
How could you not make that connection?
So anyway, I've borrowed it off. So obviously, the professionals, the real people, like Gary Lineker.
This isn't real. I think Mike is having a laugh with this.
No, I'm saying...
I've never seen anything like this in my life. It's the size of my head. Gary Lineker doesn't use... Have you ever seen Gary Lineker talk into one of these?
Well, no, but what I'm saying is they have a mic each. We're sharing one today.
Why are we sharing? I've got my
Because
own
I can
mics.
only afford to get one.
But I've got mics.
Yeah, but we don't use those. We use one of the big ones that you see on the clips.
But just because it's big doesn't mean it's good. Just a minute. I have no idea how this... I borrowed this not from somebody called Mike.
Who did you borrow it from?
I'm trying to think of a name that's related to sound. And
Why don't you just tell me who you borrowed it from?
Audible, that's the book thing. What oratory? What's the thing that you're talking to? It's not oral.
Microphone.
No, what's that?
Microphone. Are you okay?
Audrey.
Hepburn.
No, Audrey.
Huxley.
Audible, A-U-D. Audrey. That's who I borrowed these from.
Audrey.
That's my joke. My
good.
joke is
now
as
that's
good
it. That's what this. Yeah, we're cooking now.
No.
Or we could have a section.
I'm just...
Politics with Larry.
Do that without me.
That is a very good, good idea. Actually,
It's all right. You know, you do that. That's why I've got this. Because I have my own...
What are you pointing to?
Well, I'm pointing at that. Right. Pointing at anything else. What were we talking about?
Opera. Podcast.
No. Is this what a podcast is? Is it just us trying to figure out what name?
No, this is
what we're going to name our podcast.
No, this isn't the podcast. This is just us figuring out what we're going to call the podcast before we do the podcast.
Okay. All right. Why are we recording it then? I don't. This is making me very nervous.
You're
I feel like
too
it's
close
going
to
to
the
hit me in the
mic there.
face.
You need to just calm down with the mic thing. Let's talk about opera. So, what first brought you to opera, Caroline?
I first came to opera when I was dating a man.
Must have been a while ago then. See, those are the zingers I can add in.
Okay, that's... I'd never been to opera before, and he took me, and it was a bit like the Pretty Woman situation. I was dressed in, not
Black.
in the red dress with the thing.
How old were you?
What was that? And then I saw it all, and I thought, this is amazing. This is amazing. I cried, I laughed, I came out humming the tunes. I wanted to get the score of the music and just look at it and read it and annotate and learn about it. Am I too loud?
That's fine. It's very passionate.
I'm very passionate about this. Yeah. And then I spent pretty much the next 10 years, it was 10 years ago, looking at...
10 years ago you were 21?
Yes, being obsessed with music and how you can take it off the page and give it to people and make them feel and bring them together. And it doesn't matter where you're from, what your cultural background is, what you like or don't like. You just go and enjoy it.
Well, you have to like opera, obviously.
Well, no, I didn't know I liked opera until I went. That's where you got to go, try it out, and then I dumped him. Well, how did you get into opera, Larry? We never really had this conversation. I think I got you into opera.
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, I just started to hang out with you and you liked it a lot, so I just kind of...
That's it.
Can I be honest?
Not really, but I don't have a choice.
think I've ever watched an opera and understood what's really going on.
One of your own operas?
I mean, I've enjoyed them and I've seen that other people are enjoying them, but I don't know that I've ever fully... But
I saw you at Carmen.
This is the thing.
You watched Carmen, didn't you?
Yeah, but do you think you need to understand it on a intellectual level? I feel like I understand it on a guttural and visceral level. I don't really understand the story, but I know that stuff is happening.
I think this is a bad idea. Oh, wait. We shouldn't discuss this in the podcast, but we have to be careful with music. We haven't got any money to pay for royalties, so we have to. We don't.
So we can't play any music.
We can play old music.
It's all right. The podcasts are just speaking, aren't they?
I found the Library of Congress, and it has royalty-free music on it. Listen.
What are you doing here?
This opera. and we don't have to pay for it.
What's that noise?
This is from like 1908
This
or
is
something.
turn it off. Jeez Louise.
This is opera. Look,
I know it's opera, but it's...
Olive Klein is the vocalist. It's religious opera. The genre is put into.
I think we should be careful about religious opera. But also, turn that off. All religions welcome. Whether you're a Sikh or a Christian or a Muslim or a Jewish person or
all of them. If you're going to do them, you've got to do all of them.
a Buddhist or
Atheist,
a Scientologist, Mormon, Catholic, Protestant.
Yes, the big ones.
All of the religions.
We should have said that.
I just said that, yeah. Whatever religion you're part of.
There's a word to use. Inclusive, your favourite word on the planet. Just say this is an inclusive podcast.
This is an inclusive podcast. All religions welcome. And we will answer any of your religious opera questions.
Shutting your eyes.
It makes me think. It helps me think if I close my eyes when I'm close to the mic. Sorry.
It's quite disturbing. Sorry. I don't like that. Don't do that.
But maybe we could do some crime mystery bits. Maybe this could be a start of a true crime podcast. You done anything worthy of crime?
No, I may one day. Okay. But right now, it's all about the opera, and you're just circling around it, really, aren't you? So we're just going to do the opera. We're not doing true crime.
I can do all of the other stuff, and you do the opera bit.
What's all the other stuff?
Well,
we're not teaching people how to make kedgeree and fixing their Volvos, wherever that came from. There's no other stuff.
I miss the days of mechanical cars. I've said it.
Mechanical cars? What's that
It's
mean?
all electrics now. Can't do anything yourself. When I was a kid, my dad taught me how to clean an engine, how to change a radiator, how to, change a spark plug. You can't do any of these
days. Not imagine that happening to you as a child.
Oh, no, it didn't literally happen to me, but it could have done.
You'd like that to have happened if your dad spent any time with you at all, by the sound of things. I don't think he ever... You know,
well, but he could. That could have
sitting
happened.
down for dinner.
Whereas now it can't.
When Nanny brings you down for dinner. Did Nanny bring you down for dinner?
She used to bring me down. You just get called down. But that could have happened. I mean, it probably wouldn't have been my father who would have shown me that because we had our own.
You had your butler.
We didn't have a butler. We weren't that.
With a butler. Larry grew up with a butler and a nanny.
We didn't have a butler. We had a nanny, yeah, but we didn't have a butler.
You did.
We had a housekeeper.
You had a butler, someone buttling for you.
It's not Downton Abbey. We had a housekeeper.
Like a smaller Downton Abbey.
Oh.
I think anybody who goes to Eton has a butler, don't they?
I wouldn't know.
You didn't go to Eton?
I wouldn't know.
It's okay to say that you went to Eton because now you're doing this thing, which is inclusive and it's for everyone else. It's not for all the posh. No, it's okay. It's all right to say that. It's okay because it just shows that it doesn't matter what class you're in.
I went to the other place.
Oh. It's only two, isn't it? What's the other one? St Paul's? No. Dulwich College. That's not something we discuss on this.
But I know we could. Join us next month for Caroline's sharing her honesty sharing about a chip on her shoulder. In a world of posh people like the opera world, it's refreshing to meet someone like Caroline. Just a cursory glance into her lineage, and you can really see she is not from good stock.
And she's very proud of that. So you don't have to be posh to listen to opera. There we go.
E by gum.
But you can be posh. I'm not from up north.
Would that be a problem?
No.
No. You know, on the television, when you used to watch television like normal people, for streaming, and then you go, and you'd hit the people in between go, well, that was a good laugh from Gary Lineker on Match of the Day. Next up is whatever.
More Gary Lineker.
You think they're in a little room on their own?
Yeah, they write it themselves.
Well, that's dangerous.
You have to say, next,
anything.
Sharon and Pete are going to have a...
Who's Sharon and Pete?
Some sort of soap opera. Sharon and Pete getting hot and steamy after the break. That kind of thing.
What are you watching?
It's Channel 5. Oh my God, this is meant to be 15 minutes long, and we've been talking for 15 minutes, and we haven't achieved anything.
Well, thank you for listening to our first... I know, I still haven't got a name for it.
What shall I ask ChatGPT?
I don't know why you got ChatGPT out.
It's going to tell us what we should call our podcast. Everyone uses it now. What should we call our podcast? Okay. It has to be witty.
Okay.
Catchy.
Informative.
Formative. Opera related.
The rest is opera?
And not called The Rest is Opera. I'm not on the Wi-Fi. Model not found.
Why don't we name it after a composer that we like?
Okay, that's excellent.
Who are some...
I mean, Mozart, for me, always. Beethoven.
Bach.
Why don't we do
Brahms.
one that's sort of...
I only know the ones beginning with B, really.
Oh my God.
Bravo, the opera podcast. You're right.
I don't want to sound like a pretentious wanker. I've never said bravo in my life, ever.
Haven't you?
No, or bravissimo, brava, never. Not once.
Isn't that a bra brand?
It probably is copying the toffs who say bravissimo at the opera.
For big boobs.
For big boobs. The big boobed toffs who say bravissimo. We're not them. We're losing the thread. What is this podcast about? It's not about Gary Lineker.
I'm not saying it's about Gary Lineker, but we can take inspiration from Gary Lineker because he's made a lot of money from his podcast. You're a composer, aren't you?
I'm not a composer.
Why don't we call it
I play other people's... I conduct other people's composed music. Composed? That's brilliant. Welcome to the Composed podcast. That's brilliant.
Welcome to
How did you do that?
With me,
I came up with
Larry, and Caroline, where we delved.
Anyway,
well, I'm
I
getting
do remember...
to that age now where the only women I'm meeting are mums.
Do you hang out at...
Divorcees.
Okay.
Well, it's either that or somebody who's 30 and God, who wants to be with a 30-year-old? Ugh.
Where are you going to meet divorced mums?
I'm not going anywhere specific to meet divorced mums.
Going to the divorced mums club?
No, I'm just saying if I it's only divorced mums who are my age.
I'm sorry, but what's wrong with a divorced mum?
No, I'm not saying anything's wrong with that.
Well, you've got an expression. For anyone who's listening, Larry has an expression of...
it's a smiling.
No, you weren't smiling. The opposite of the smile that he is currently whacked on his face.
I'm not saying that it's bad to meet divorced women who are mums.
No.
I'm just saying that's my only option.
Maybe
or
that's a good
if
thing.
If you meet a woman who's in her early 40s or late 30s and they are not settled down and don't have kids, they're often a bit...
Do you know why they haven't settled down? Because all the men that they meet are wankers. Yeah.
This is a really
good... Most of the men
good...
on dating apps end up being, commitment phobes who just
I think that's
even
unfair.
be on dating apps, and therefore these women... you're talking about me.
No.
I'm not settled down.
No, but I'm not...
In a derogatory tone.
You're different, Caroline.
I'm not different.
I don't think of you as a
any way.
woman.
We don't want to talk about people.
How do we make it about us?
We don't need. We're not doing it about us. It's not about us. We are giving our love of opera. You can have a section about you. How about that? I'll
I had
give
a
you
friend
15.
sectioned recently. Poor thing.
That's as long as
I say a friend, I mean...
Are they okay now?
Don't know.
You haven't visited them, so not really a friend. We do need a review jingle.
about
If anyone wants to write us a review jingle,
For goodness sakes, don't ask them.
why?
God knows what we'll get back.
Probably the people listening to this are people in the classical music world. Therefore, they are composers.
They're not the
and
people we
therefore
want to
they
speak
know
to.
You do want
They're
to speak to them.
already interested.
But we want to speak to everyone.
Do we? Oh, yeah.
Everyone. You said everyone
did say
about
that,
half an hour ago.
I did say that, yeah.
I think we need a beginning, middle, and end.
I should listen to me.
Structure to this.
I should.
You should. Yes, you listen to you. So I don't.
So, Gary, if you're listening...
I had structure. Wait a minute.
Get in contact, and if you want to take on this podcast and call it The Rest is Opera, then
No, we're not calling it The
we'll
Rest
only
is
give it
Opera.
to you for we'll have to think about, we'll have to talk about money.
Can we have an agreement that you stop talking about Gary Lineker, please?
Podcast man.
I didn't know he was the podcast man.
I don't really know anything about podcasts apart from Gary Lineker. Well, I think this has been a success. So join us again next... How often are we doing these? Weekly?
I can only come over once a month.
Yeah. Join us again next month for some more... insert name here. Podcast.
Composed.
Oh, we've decided that, have we?
Or what's that sound?
Join us again next month for some more composed.
What's that sound?
For more What's That Sound? Where
Or
we
composed.
will... And please do email in to our website and ask us any questions, and we'll do our best. Caroline will read them all, and we'll do our best to answer anything that you can throw at us. And we don't mind cheeky ones, but not rude.
Okay, we done? Is that it? Have we covered all pods?
I think we just need to do a bit more laughing. Oh, that was very funny, Caroline. We could come in do that at the beginning. As if
Yes,
you've
do
just-
more of that.
As if you've just said something
Can you do
funny.
that again?
Because I'll just
Wait, let me
just
say
imagine.
something.
It won't be
I'll just
funny
read a
enough.
word. Greta Thunberg.
She is fun. No, she is funny. Greta Thunberg is funny. I've done laughing. You haven't done any.
I can't
As
laugh
if
on the
I've just
spot
said
like that.
something funny.
But I don't think I've ever laughed at anything you said, so that would be inauthentic.
Do you know, I listened to an intro. This was a BBC podcast, and the first 7 minutes was just this one bloke laughing at his own jokes.
Oh, that's so depressing.
So let's do a bit of that.
do that.
Well, people like it. It's on the BBC.
I'm not...
I'm trying to get up. No, you've got to... You've got to... Oh, sorry, I can't get it out. The thing I was trying to say is just so funny. Oh, dear. Join us again next month.
So you've been listening. So are we putting any of this out?
I don't know. You can deal with that.